This podcast contains explicit content.
Good evening, cowards.
This podcast is hardly focused.
Oh my God. No.
Dissecting the news, one tangent at a time.
We all have ADHD and anything else would be boring as hell.
I'm so happy because I'm a gummy bear. Gummy bear! Fucking motherfucker! Oh, I guess there's only one way out of this. Goodness, I taste delicious.
That wasn't bad at all.
Gummy bears! For candy this delicious, you'll chew off your own leg!
Hi everybody, we're Hardly Focused. Jack Gill, Nate Fillers. You can find us at hardlyfocused.com. We are on your favorite podcast app, YouTube, and TikTok. Just search for Hardly Focused. We are presented by the Solid Wisdom Podcast Network, and that was audio of Michelle Trachtenberg from the Adult Swim show Robot Chicken. Michelle Trachtenberg very sadly passed away today, the 26th of February, 2025. 39 years old, Michelle Trachtenberg was. And Nate, I think it's right to say that millennials very upset today, very shocked by this news.
Yeah, I think like a lot of us just grew up with her. So it's like, it's really hit, especially me. I was telling Jack, like, this is going to be a weird one for me. Cause it's like, when I was a kid, I had such a crush on her, like growing up. Cause like, okay, so to put things in perspective, like most people, it was the Pink Power Ranger.
Yep.
And but I was smart enough to be like, well, she's too old. Like, you know, like,
even though she was playing like a teenager on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
So here, like, mind you, for context, I'm like, what, 8 or whatever? Like,
right.
Yeah, like probably 8. And she was like 10 when she was on, like, when she was like Harriet the Spy or something like that.
Yeah. 10, 11.
Like in Pete and Pete.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy because she didn't look it. She looked like she was like, at the time, much younger.
Yeah. But I remember being like, you know, well, I'm never going to be able to date Kimberly because she's too old.
Do you feel that way about Topanga too?
But there's a chance for, I never really watched Boy Meets World, to be honest with you. I know I missed out on a lot, but for her, like, so seriously, like since 8 years old, I had a huge crush on her, on Michelle.
Yeah.
And I was like, but the thing is, like, so with Amy Jo Johnson, she is known as the Pink Power Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
I could not tell you a single thing she did after that or before that.
I seem to recall her being on a cop drama in more recent years. And then besides that, Amy Jo Johnson, I remember busked in like a city square somewhere.
Oh, really?
In the Pink Ranger.
Oh my God.
Outfit, uniform.
That's crazy.
And I think it was to like fulfill a bet that she lost with, I think, the Blue Ranger.
Yeah, they're tight.
Yeah. So Michelle Trachtenberg, though, I am most familiar with her work on The Adventures of Pete and Pete, where she played Nona Mecklenburg. And then she was a contestant on several episodes of Figure It Out.
I forgot about Figure It Out. Oh, man.
If you remember Figure It Out, it was... They must have filmed like several episodes in the course of a day.
Yeah.
As they did with Legends at a Hidden Temple. Because it was the same like panelists.
Yeah.
In what felt like every episode. So it always felt like Michelle was there, and then Danny Tamborelli and Lori Beth Denberg. It always just seemed like the same people. You know, what's funny is Sam Roberts of Sirius XM fame.
Really?
Was a like contestant on the show. Yeah, he had like some
fucking weird.
He had some like he had some like special talents.
Oh, okay, it wasn't an invention.
No, I think it was a talent. Yeah, which is kind of funny and ironic if you think about it now. But yeah, it's a weird flex for him.
Yeah,
but yeah, and it might have been. I don't know like the extent of the episode. I don't know if Michelle was a panelist on his episode, but so that's where I'm most familiar with her, because like I saw Harriet the Spy.
Yeah.
I saw it like once when I was little and I couldn't tell you anything about it. EuroTrip, I think I've only seen once. I know like that's very memorable for our generation because we were all coming of age when EuroTrip came out in 2004. And when I talked to Kate earlier today, big shocker, I still talk to my ex-wife almost daily. And she was floored by this news because she's a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. And Michelle had her, I guess, I get like second wind, if you will. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like she kind of broke out from being a child star into like proving like, hey, I can act as an adult, not be typecast. And she had a very successful run on that show. And then Gossip Girl.
Yeah,
same
I
deal.
never watched that, but...
Kate also watched that.
But like, so the thing is like, she had all, that's my point. Is like, Amy Jo Johnson, everybody had a crush on her, but it was basically like, once the Power Rangers were over, it was just like, where did she go? She was gone. Like, but I was always excited to see Michelle in things.
Same.
Like when she appeared in a few episodes of 6 Feet Under, where she was playing like a pop star.
Yep.
And it was like, oh, you're in this? Like, oh, I would always get like so lit up whenever I saw her in a thing. And it was just like, man, it's so strange because I know it's really fucking, it's a weird thing to say, to admit. It's like, cause I didn't know her at all. Like never hung out with her. And I don't even know like anything about her life, but it was like, when you wrote me Michelle Trachtenberg. So Jack has this thing where in the chat, he just posts the name. And when somebody dies, it's just the name. So whenever you see just the name, you know that that person has passed.
And there's some times when I'm like, I'm like, I can't believe I'm about to write this. And I was in a state of shock when I wrote it. Like I didn't bookend it with like, holy shit, or anything like that. I was just like, it was fresh news. And it was still in that there's always that brief period. I guess it's one of the many stages of, I read this on the internet denial, where it could be a false report.
Yeah.
And I just took a risk by announcing it to you guys.
And I want to get this out of the way before any douchebags out there, they're still going to say something, but there's in no way are we using her death as like a cash grab or whatever. Like we would make money off of this anyway.
Right.
Like I wrote Jack, I was like, dude, I need to vent. Like, can we do, he was actually at work. I was like, can we do it now? And he's like, no, I'm at work. Like
believe me, I wanted to then.
So I'm so fucked up from this because as I was explaining to Jack, like literally today's Wednesday, literally Tuesday night, I'm on Facebook and I get recommended a bunch of EuroTrip like clips and she's in the background, like, she's in that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember like there was like a lot of people were worried about her. I wonder how she's doing. And then I went on her Instagram. She posted like some weird like throwback pictures. And then it was like one of her selfies. And you're just like, of course, it was just flooded with, she doesn't look well, blah, blah, blah. Like, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't want to jump to any conclusions. And then literally hours later, she was dead.
Yeah,
like, which means she was probably dead when I was like, the other weirdest part, which makes me a total weirdo, is I looked her up and I was just like, oh, and like I was just and then I fell asleep and then I had a fucking dream about her.
Oof.
It wasn't sexual. It was,
she was wearing a snowsuit.
It was seriously just like, I ran into her in like a city that was like Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
And we were just walking around like bar hopping and we were friends. And I was like, I can't believe I'm friends with Harriet the Spy. Or like, I was like, we were buddies. And it's one of those things where your dreams just automatically fill in everything for you, like the history of everything. And you're like, oh, this is so cool. I'm so lucky to be friends with her.
Yeah.
She's like a star and everything. And literally hours later, I'm told that she's dead.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have a dream about her, but I was in the same, I guess, position as you a couple of nights ago. I probably saw that same video.
Yeah.
And watched it. And it was a compilation of clips of her in EuroTrip. But like she posts on Instagram, and I'm chronically on Instagram.
Yeah.
And she posts there a lot. So I am familiar with like how she looked, like her physical appearance, how she looked. And for the last couple of years, I have been thinking that she is, I wouldn't, and I'm not one to leave a comment on a person's page saying, or even just pointing out their physical appearance. I mean, that's not me.
Yeah. But
I'm definitely going to think, hey, you definitely don't look like how you did 10 years ago. And I get it. Like you're in your late 30s. People, they age, but you don't look, you don't look right. I'm just going to come out and say it. I was thinking like, you don't look right, but like you're still actively posting here.
Yeah.
Your posts aren't bizarre.
Yeah.
But like part of me is thinking like either plastic surgery or an illness that she is not disclosing.
Yeah.
And it's even just weird because I'm using a lot of like active tense, and it's unfortunately now it's past tense with her. But, she was even posting up to just a few days ago. That's always the most morbid thing when you look at a famous person when they pass away, or any person really, and you look at what their last post on social media was before they died, and you would think that all was well with her. And then even TMZ reporting just a little while ago that as recently as last Thursday, she was out with people in New York City. So what we've learned today is that she had a liver transplant recently, which explains, I guess it explains why her appearance was the way that it was. But now, of course, that's going to lead to speculation as to, okay, was it just some, illness, hereditary thing? Did you just have a bad liver, or was this exacerbated by, alcohol or substances or something? Because, being a child star and being a Nickelodeon child star, you gotta keep that in consideration. And for a long time, we would think, hey, Michelle Trachtenberg seems to be someone who escaped whatever horrific vortex that Amanda Bynes fell into, that Drake Bell fell into. But in recent years, again, like I'm saying, like just noticing, I'm like, you look very you look just gaunt,
like frail.
Yeah, and your skin is paper white. Like something here isn't right. And then to hear that she had a liver disease necessitating a transplant, like, okay, that explains a lot, but there's still, I guess, some explanation to be had. But at that point, it's like, okay, is that any of our business?
No, it's really not. But I think what it comes down to is that because we grew up with her, so to speak, there was a lot of like, oh, well, like I care about, it's not coming from a place of judgment. It's coming from a place of concern.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, you look awful, or like I am judging you, or I'm like, I hope you're okay. Like really, and she would always post like, I'm fine, I'm happy, I'm healthy, and everything.
Yeah.
This is just me without makeup, or this is just, I didn't get plastic surgery, and it was just very like, people need to chill the fuck out. Like, I'm no longer 14 or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you're almost 40.
Yeah.
Like, people are not going to look the same at 40 as they did at 18.
Right. But like, her hair was thinning.
Yeah.
It was like...
The most recent photo she posted, and this is within the last month, and, you know, that's making the rounds now, is the last photo we have of her, is like, even then it's concerning.
Yeah.
You know, that was Becky, when I told you the news today that Michelle Trachtenberg had passed away, I just straight up said, first I just thrust my phone in your face.
You did do that.
And then I said, she has not been looking well.
Yeah, and I've noticed that.
Right.
Within the last couple of years, she would cross my desk and it wasn't looking good.
Yeah.
I just assume child star, I always go the route of they've just had a hard go.
Yep.
And I give them grace for that.
Yeah.
But I feel bad if my bias goes towards that too.
I mean, I feel bad overall just being so like, what's the like nosy about it, like just being so involved with it and just being so vocal about it, because it's like, whatever, it's fucking not my business. It's I mean, whatever, like, it's a celebrity, I didn't know her, like, it's whatever. I'm so far removed from, like, it's like almost like we're borderline parasocialing like this scenario of like,
it's morbid curiosity.
Yeah. And I'm just like,
but she is a pop culture figure where I feel like it's okay that we're a little bit nosy as well, even if we're not bad and we don't have bad intent.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting to see how many people are upset about this. And I'm not saying like, I didn't think that, but like, I honestly didn't really know many people were that close to her.
Mm-hmm.
But like, my entire Facebook feed is like, this is like the childhood person I grew up with, you know, like everybody's like being just as weird as me.
Yeah.
So it's somewhat like nice and reassuring that, okay, I'm not super fucking crazy, but there is some level of crazy where I'm like, oh no, like I didn't get to tell her how cool she was, or, you know, like I didn't get to talk to her, like, you know, and I will say this is probably up there in celebrity deaths for me.
Yeah.
Like in terms of affecting me, like, of course, Robin Williams, like that was like, there was a level I was like, oh, you know, but you know, the weirdest part is just how I grew up with this person, but not really.
Right. I mean, the way you're reacting to it is the way I reacted to Chris Cornell when he passed away. And that one just really screwed me up. Like that threw me into like a genuine depression. And you mentioned Robin Williams, and that felt more like shell shock.
Yeah.
Just kind of walking around in like a daze after hearing that news. And then thinking of like Norm Macdonald, he's someone that people need to remind me that he's not here anymore, you know? But it feels like with Michelle, and this is like the shit that your parents say to you. It's like to lose Michelle, even though she's only a few years older than all of us in this room, it's someone that is a part of your childhood.
Yeah.
It's just one of those figures just going away. And it's just, you know, it's not going to get any better from this point on. I mean, it sucks that she was in her 30s, you know, and I do see a lot of comparisons to when Chadwick Boseman passed away a few years ago, where he was very ill and was working through it, and was, I mean, he was even like children's hospitals visiting like kids with cancer while he himself was in between chemo treatments. And of course that has a physical, toll on you, effect. And that leads to what, we had been seeing. Never read the comments, by the way, on social media. Just never, ever look at that crap. But like people asking over the last, I'd say several years, like asking Michelle, like, are you okay? Telling her you don't look good. And if like over the coming days, weeks, news comes out that she was genuinely like she had an illness, like she had something like cancer or like her, being in liver failure and having your body react to that. And these people aren't going to care. That's the worst part. Is there's going to be no remorse there, but it's not going to stop me from looking at them and saying like, I really hope you feel like a piece of garbage now for just flat out saying like, oh, you look sick. You look like you're on drugs. You look coked out. And in finding out that she was genuinely ill and just trying to live.
Yeah.
And never go on Facebook either when these things happen.
Oh whoops.
Yeah.
I got so fucking angry, Jack, like on my way over here. Because I did the thing that you just said not to do.
Right. Because there's gonna be people out there who's gonna be like, they do it. I don't think they're doing it now. In all seriousness, they're doing it just to troll, but they're always like, next.
Vaccine. The vaccine. She got the vaccine. And I actually reported someone.
Good. I
was so fucking pissed off. It was just like, natural causes at 39? I doubt it. And then they're like, well, her mom said that she got a liver transplant. So... And then they're like, she got vaxxed. And I was just so angry. Just so like, I'm sick of this. Whenever somebody dies, it's just from here on out, it's going to be Remember when Betty White died?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a little more of a joke. But like, you're right. People, the thing that sucks about social media is that this negativity gets you so much more attraction than positivity.
Yeah.
Any sort of negative thing or angry thing, whatever, it's so much better for the algorithm and you do so much better.
Yeah.
So we're all like being trained to go that way. So we're fucked.
The only comment that I responded to on social media about this news was, it was an Instagram post, and I think it was from like one of the news channels, and it's an Instagram post about Michelle passing away. And the top comment on it was this idiot saying, quote, "This one time at band camp."
Oh, yeah.
And just getting rightly so eviscerated.
Yeah.
Whether or not they were trolling or were just genuinely that stupid.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Because there's posting shit like, asking if they were vaxxed or blaming it on fentanyl and posting that shit just to troll. And then there's associating that person with someone else and quoting a line, that someone else made famous.
Oh my God.
And then like not backing down from it.
But like that gets engagement. Like that's just the way we're wired nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Facebook does it. Like I've noticed when I post something like positive in my life, fucking nothing. But I'm like, something bad happened. It's like immediately everyone's like, I'm so sorry.
Right. Yeah. You see, well, I mean, it's with celebrity deaths too. I mean, and this is going to lead into my next question, but just, you see the people coming out of the woodwork, all they're upset. And then, then you're right to be upset, but you could also be you could be a dick and say like, name 5 things that Michelle Trachtenberg was in.
Yeah.
Or you just, are you sad because there are people who are legitimately sad? Like you see Nate's sad. So like, I want to be sad too. And
I don't want to post about it because it's so awkward of like, hey, this person I never met and this person that,
you're welcome to be
I'm
sad
so
about
far removed from.
Yeah.
Like I'm like depressed. And also to say like I had a crush on her for like the longest time. And it's like, it's so many levels of weird.
Right.
Cause it's like, okay, like, and the thing is like, I don't know what to make of it. Like, I want to like be able to articulate my sadness, but at the same time, it just feels so weird.
Yeah.
Because it just seems unwarranted. It's like, but
I think it's totally fair if she impacted you in some way, even if you didn't know her. I feel like the characters that you have in movies have had more impact on you than a lot of the people you know in real life.
Are you talking about like fictional characters or actors? Oh,
but but then by proxy, the actor. So I think that's totally fair to mourn and be sad and express it.
Yeah. I mean, like when we talked about Chadwick Boseman, when he passed away, I mean, he was a phenomenal actor, no matter how you look at it, but he became an icon, an African-American icon for Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
And then he only got to enjoy that for really not long enough.
Not enough.
He only got to really enjoy that for a few years, but it's the impact that, he left on people. And then, I mean, even Michelle leaving an impact on people. I mean, I have threads open right now. My entire threads feed all day has just been about Michelle Trachtenberg.
It's so strange because I don't want to be rude, but it's not like she's like an A-lister.
No, but again, we grew up with her. I mean, it's all millennials. That's the thing. I'm not seeing one old person post about this. Yeah. Every person I've seen post about this, you can guess is in their 30s. This one account here, it's Peace Amati. That's their name, Peace Amati. And they said, kid you not, Michelle Trachtenberg through Harriet the Spy was like the reason I started journaling heavy so early on in life.
Yeah.
And this practice has over and over saved my life.
Yeah.
So like right there, someone who just, even if it's just like journaling, I mean, that's something that,
yeah,
you can make that, so you can make your life around that. And if she inspired someone to do it, then there you go.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know why I didn't expect to see so many other people being like, this hurts. Even like a post that people posting, like opening the comments, and a lot of people are like, I had such a crush on her. And I'm like, back off.
You're getting defensive.
No, I'm like, oh, okay. So it wasn't just me, but it's like also like really.
There was one other one out there, I'm sure.
There's like so many like people. Cause like most people liked the Pink Power Ranger, and it was like, okay, so everybody likes the Pink Power Ranger. And then it's like, oh wait, other people, I thought I was like unique because
I thought it was just you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely red Jason all the way. That's the extent of what I know.
It's just,
well, I straight up said on my own Instagram that this news hurt. And for me, I mean, like, I loved her on The Adventures of Pete and Pete.
I loved her on Pete and Pete.
But that is admittedly the beyond figure it out. I'm familiar with everything she did after The Adventures of Pete and Pete.
Yeah.
But I really liked her character on that show.
Yeah.
And for me, it sucks in that regard. Not to mention too, her father. Who was her father played by? Iggy Pop.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. The casting on that show was so good.
Yeah.
The Mecklenburgs. He was Mr. Mecklenburg.
You are listening to Hardly Focused. This is Hardly Focused.
You got to be careful though, because you might end up banging whoever's in your house if you are using the wrong YouTube. I looked up how to fix a water heater once, and it was like, first, you fuck this girl. But that's what so that's like the thing. Like for me, it's like it started with Pete and Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was Harriet the Spy. Then it was Buffy. And I was like, oh, because like didn't start in Buffy. It was like season whatever, like well into Buffy. It's like, oh, this is your sister. And it's like, oh, whoa, it's Michelle Trachtenberg. Like, the fucking cool. It was like that with literally any time I watched something and her name popped up, I would get excited.
Yeah.
And I'd just be like, dude, get over yourself. Like,
did you watch Gossip Girl?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you missed out. You'll have to go back and watch that now.
Because she was a villain.
A good one.
Yeah. And it's going to be hard to go back and, because like everybody was like posting, oh, is she going to be in the reboot of Buffy? Like that's all the comments when I was reading last night. And I think a huge reason why this is fucking me up so much is that literally the day before I was like worried about her and like interested, like how's she doing?
Your connection.
Like blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, people are talking about, oh, I hope she's in the next Buffy reboot. I was like, there's going to be a Buffy reboot. And like, I didn't know about that.
Well, that's literally when I texted Kay about the news, that's the first thing she said was they just announced the Buffy reboot. And then she was speculating if Michelle was supposed to be in it. Cause I don't think they announced officially that she was going to be in it. Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think, is the only one who's confirmed her involvement. And in Gossip Girl, Gossip Girl got like a sequel series, a revival. It didn't last very long. I think it was only 2 seasons. That was Michelle's final on-screen credit. And then Becky and I looking up what else has she done since that? Like what has she done recently? Because I don't want to say she's like really retired.
Yeah,
like
more behind the scenes.
Right. And there's a documentary called, I believe it's called Spiral, but it's spelled Spyral. And she did she had voiceover work. She had narration for that. Now this was filmed years ago, but I guess they hit a snag with the financing it. So it only just got released last year. It's about a man chronicling what he thought was his marriage imploding, coincidentally to a woman named Michelle. Turns out Michelle had bipolar disorder. So the Michelle's journals were narrated by Michelle Trachtenberg.
Oh,
so that is, I think that effectively, because it was released last year, makes that her final body of work.
Yeah.
Even if it was recorded a few years ago. Now, this is why I wanted to ask you, because I'm staring at this right now. Someone, I don't know who this person is. Someone else on Threads, because again, all of my Threads posts right now, Hardly Focused, are about Michelle Trachtenberg. Guy at a convention took a photo with her, and he posted his photo with her. How do you feel about people who post, when a celebrity dies, they post a picture of themselves with the celebrity?
Like in what manner? Like, does it upset me? Am I jealous? Am I like, is it like, am I bothered? Like, you piece of shit, you're trying to like,
I'd say that because when someone who I've met, a famous person who I've met passes away, maybe I've done it in the past, but I would avoid it now, posting a picture that I took with them. And working at the radio station, I was fortunate enough to meet quite a few famous people. 2 of those famous people have famously passed away in the last 10 years, Saget and Norm.
Yeah.
And the Saget photo I held off on sharing until I think only a couple of years ago, mostly because I was embarrassed by it. And in the Norm photo, I think I also held off on sharing because I'm like, I love that photo, but I'm like, I don't want to, I'll crop Norm or crop me out of it and just post a picture of Norm.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to make this about me.
Okay. I have an answer for you. I'm totally okay with it because what it does is it opens up a conversation of like a little chapter of like a story. Like, you know, like if you go to a funeral and somebody's like, I remember this story I had with somebody, and it's like kind of nice to have like the backstory or like that interaction. A lot of the times people post those things and they will post like, yeah, I was just like at the airport and she was like over there and I like sat down, we talked for 45 minutes and like this and this. And like, they tell like a story and it's like, oh, that's a nice story. It's like, even though it's about nothing and out of any other context, it'd be like, that's the boringest fucking story I've ever heard in my life. You saw her in an airport and then you sat down and you talked about weather or, you know, like stupid, like it's not even like, it doesn't matter. It's like the stupid, but like when somebody passes away, you're like, no. Like I want more of them. And like, that's your way of getting more of them.
Yeah.
Is other people sharing the stories that they had with them. So like I I find it comforting when people post like, oh, this is my picture. Cause then I can like, oh, like, what was that? What was that like? What happened? What led up to that? What are all these different things? Like, how did you end up meeting her? What was she like? And what did you guys talk about?
I'm going to totally do that now with whenever.
Oh, God.
I know. I'm going to start knocking on particle board here. Ann Wilson from Heart stood behind her in an elevator. Didn't say anything to her. I think I said hi to her, and I think that was it. And that means that when she dies, I'm going to have this whole big, long eulogy about my personal connection to her, about the 20 seconds we were in an elevator together.
Yeah.
Where nothing was exchanged, where I was nobody. She probably thought I was her driver.
Yeah. I actually, when Stan Lee passed away, I went to a screening of The Amazing Spider-Man in Savannah, Georgia. And he actually did a panel after that where he like went up on stage and like talked about the movie and everything like that. And then they did a Q&A, and I was like, I have a question. Like I have a genuine question. I was like raising my hand and everything. Didn't get the chance because the guy in front of me also was raising his hand. They called on him and he asked my question.
Oh,
I was like, fuck, I don't have any other follow-up. I have no other reason to talk to him. Like, you know,
can you elaborate on that?
It was, the question was, who or what is your biggest supervillain? Like you personally.
What was his answer?
Time.
That's deep.
Not enough time. Not enough time to do all the things that he wanted to do.
Yeah, that is
like
deep.
He's like, oh, I'm like,
he lived to like 95 though, didn't he?
Right,
like,
but he always wanted to do more. Like he never had enough time to do all these different things. I'm like, but even so, like when Stan Lee passed away, I at least had that story to tell people of just like, oh yeah, like I saw him in a room, and I don't know. I just find those things very comforting. Like I found that what I was doing with Michelle today was I was just like looking at clips, and I wanted to know more and like still keep her around.
Right.
You know, it's as fucked up as that sounds, because it's like we're moving into parasocial relationships. Like I'm just like she, especially having a dream the night before she dies.
Right.
Which is what the fuck?
It's bizarre. I mean, I have a tendency to just out of curiosity.
No, and
Sorry.
I was listening through the door. So no, I just missed that.
Becky just made like a really like, what the
I'm pretending like I'm Nope, I was here this whole time.
Yeah, my cousin was like, you killed her. And I was like, no, I didn't.
Usually that's me.
Oh my God, that's major.
It was
What other dreams did you have?
I mean, the night before or like
there could be more that you tapped into and you really need to tap into.
What I really want to know is why was EuroTrip all over our feeds?
Right?
Like the day. So that's why I had a dream about her. So what? Sorry to repeat this, but like, I just knew that I saw a picture of her like a while ago, and people were like, people are scared about Michelle. Like she looks, people are commenting on the way she looks and everything. And that was like a while ago. But then I saw like these clips of EuroTrip, and I was like, I wonder how she's doing. And so I looked up stuff, and then I fell asleep. And that was enough apparently for me to have dreams where like we were friends and we were walking around places.
Yeah.
When did you get the news today? Were you already awake and doing things? It wasn't just like you wake up from this dream to an alert?
Sort of.
That's at least
sort
good.
of.
Can you imagine how messed up that would be?
Yeah.
No,
wake up and that's the first thing I read.
So like at least you had that.
It was very similar to that, because like I didn't really do much today. I woke up like maybe around 10, I just kind of like ate some breakfast and then was sitting at my computer, and then the first like interaction that I had with somebody was Jack.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Me ruining the day.
Texting
like,
you with the latest death.
And I'm just like, no. I'm pretty sure I was like, fuck. fuck. I'm pretty confident that's more or less what I was like. Because
when the hell did this happen?
Yeah. It's just, it's just so trippy. Because there's always like, oh, I wanted her to know like I cared about her and everything, which like fucks me up even more because I was looking through clips and there was like a clip where she was talking about like growing up. And this is where we get into the weird. If it wasn't weird, this is where we get weirder.
Make it weird.
Is it when she was talking to Newsweek?
Yeah.
About being 17 again? Or is that something else?
That was one of them,
Okay.
but it was like the clip that I sent you.
Yeah.
Like at the end.
Yeah.
The last question.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's Newsweek?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Do you want me to play it?
Sure.
Okay.
The boys didn't like me in high school. No one ever asked me out. Yeah, they were really mean to me, actually. I was doing an interview because I'm promoting a movie called 17 again. And so the big question is, wouldn't you want to be 17 again? No, I really don't. I'm happy. I didn't have boobs when I was 17. I have boobs now. It's fantastic. I really enjoy them. And I just don't think, I look forward to getting older. I look forward to, being 30. I think wisdom comes with age. And I think I've always dated older men. I think men get sexier as they get older. Not like 60. That would be a little weird. I'm 23 and rocking a 60-year-old. Can't do that so much.
But there's a bit of a Shyamalan twist to that.
She sounds like Stassi.
Her partner. Do you know about her partner?
Yeah.
Jay Cohen?
Yeah.
Who is several years her senior. Becky, I think you told me he's like in his 60s?
According to the Daily Mail, he's 63.
So she ultimately did find someone who is an old man.
But, okay, so the thing that gets really weird for me, let's subtract the last part. I was thinking like, okay, had I grown up and gone to school with her, like,
following,
like she said, no one liked her, I would have liked her. Cause like I like the weird, like I was like the eccentric, like outcast kind of person, and I liked things that people dislike, like because they didn't get enough like love or affection or attention. So I'm thinking like, if I was just in that area, her and I would have been friends.
Yeah.
And like the fact that she didn't really have that many guys that gave her the time of day, like I would have given her the time of day. Like just like really, because I just found her very interesting, like her character. And I know this is tapping into like some very, very parasocial relationships kind of shit, because it's like, no, Nate, you don't know her. You don't know what she was like. She could have been annoying. She could have been this. But I was the kind of person that like when people like disown somebody, I'd be like, why? Why is that?
Yeah.
And then give them the time of day.
It's fascinating. She says she was bullied because she's famous, like.
And how old was she when she? Did you say Pete and Pete came before Harriet the Spy?
Yeah. Yeah, that was so. Yeah. She really took off in the mid '90s, like around like 95, 96.
And
Harriet
how old
the Spy
was she at that point?
About 10 years old. Harriet the Spy was 1996. She was in season 3 of Pete and Pete, and that was also, I believe, that was also 96. So that was when things started to really take off for her.
Yeah,
and she like, I feel like looking at her filmography, she also just kind of went through phases that kind of align to just the stages of adolescence, if that makes sense. Like being a child star, Pete and Pete, Harriet the Spy, and then Inspector Gadget.
Oh yeah,
into
Penny,
EuroTrip. Great casting, by the way. That is
Perfect,
really good casting alongside Matthew Broderick. who hit someone with his car.
Yeah, he killed the guy.
But then you go to the Buffy and EuroTrip, and that is like, for me, that was all of a sudden just like, flicking a light switch, because already at this point I'm a teenager, but then seemed like, oh my God, that's the same Michelle Trachtenberg.
Yeah.
No way. No, that's Harriet the Spy. That can't be the same person.
She's forever Harriet the Spy.
Yeah.
That was my movie. I wanted to be friends with her. I think
that might have been the first time I heard James Brown.
Yeah?
I think that was in the soundtrack.
Okay.
I think you're right.
Because I remember her dancing to that.
Yep.
And just like,
it's all coming back to me.
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, and I'm just, but
get up off that thing.
It's just not because she was famous. I wasn't like, oh, I want to be like with a famous person. I was just like, I don't know. I was little. I didn't understand anything then. Like, it just, like, kids don't understand any emotion. You're just like, I think she's cool. Like, I remember, like, this is getting, like, even as a kid, I was weird. Like, being 8 years old and then watching Nickelodeon, and a thing would come up and she's like, hello, I'm Michelle Trachtenberg.
Yeah.
I'm from California. And I was like, California? That's where I have to go. Like, thinking like, that's where she is. Like, that's where I have to go.
No, Nate's like, California, huh? I'm from Massachusetts.
I was in New Jersey then, so.
Okay.
So,
a little closer.
On the complete opposite side of the country. When I steamroll you by accident, Becky, and I apologize sincerely. You mentioned Rosie O'Donnell.
It's all good. Yeah. Nope. I was just saying she's the woman from the movie.
Yeah.
That movie that I watched over and over.
Rosie, the first thing you asked me was, what did Rosie have to say about this? And Rosie did release a statement earlier today. It was heartfelt.
Okay.
But she did mention...
Sounds like they fought after.
Well, it mentioned...
The way you're going, it's not sounding great.
Yeah.
Well, she mentioned that...
it's like, I loved Michelle, but she was super racist.
I loved Michelle, but she sincerely believed that 9/11 was the result of Islamic terrorism.
Mm-hmm. I did see some people talk about, like, Michelle's view on, like, Israel and everything. I'm like, shut the fuck up, everybody. Just, can we have...
That's a topic I do not touch with a 20-foot pole, because I just feel like any opinion
you lose.
Anyone gives on...
Sure, it's a fucking lose-lose, whatever. It's fine.
Rosie, this is from Extra, Rosie's statement that she gave to Extra. Okay. Rosie said, quote, I loved her very much. She struggled in the last few years. I wish I could have helped. That is giving credence to the hypothesis that there was, something, either this significant health issues and or potentially alcohol or substance that exacerbated.
I was going through my text trying to figure out, now that we live together and we don't text as much, I can't just go search and see when we were talking about said subject, but we did talk about her, and I think she did something crazy at some point, so she came up, but I can't remember what it was.
It's not important, it doesn't matter, but at the same time, you're just like, here I am, like, all day I've been just searching, like, refreshing the news story to be like, I need to know, like, why she's gone.
Right.
Like, it's just so, and it feels really weird talking about it like the day of too, because it's like, because a lot of times it's like, oh, do you only care about her because she's gone now? Like, are you trying to that's not the right word, cash in on, but, like, a lot of people
exploit.
Yeah, because I'm sure, like, a lot of people on TikTok are going to post things just to get the views and, like, get the traffic and everything. And that's not at all what we're doing. We're just, we're journaling. We're journaling, like, how we feel about this loss. It's just so, it's so huge. It's really, like, and I'm going to get really sad for a second, but, like, this adds on top of, like, another loss, because just like the other day, the family cat of
Aw.
17. Yeah, Ralph, it was a tough one because like Ralph was the first cat that like ever accepted me, and I was a dog person, like hardcore dog person. Like cats suck, like they're just emotionless assholes, like they just have no souls. Because up until that point, cats are very like they have to let you into their lives. So my experience of cats were they would just run away from you. They would hide. You would never see it. And I'm like, why do people have cats if they never see them? Like they're always gone. And but then I met Ralph, and Ralph was really nice to me, and like he lived a fucking 17.
That's
it's very
that's a
long
great
for
life.
cat.
That's also a fantastic name for a cat, Ralph.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry to hear about that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes.
That
But then Michelle happened on top of that.
A 1-2
punch. I was just like, this year sucks.
Well, if I can,
all the other things. Like,
very fair.
if I can try to lighten it up a bit, did you ever say this to Ralph? Oh, you're not going to play now? Okay.
Cool.
All right.
I might.
Ralph Club.
Did you ever say that to him?
No.
Ralphie, get off the stage, sweetheart.
There we go. That was the one I was trying to play.
There we go.
Yeah.
I can't say I did.
All right.
But
Missed opportunity, Nate. He had 17 years.
damn. Maybe next time. But
So it sounds like Ralph was more of a Bill than a Ted.
yeah, I guess.
Those are our cats.
Yeah. It's just weird, you know, and it's like he wasn't my cat, so it's not like I feel like I can post about it because it's like I don't want like the condolences on the.
But why are you guys policing the posting so much? I feel like that seems to just be a thing that everyone can just mudsling at. But what is
I don't
really wrong
know.
with
That's
that?
a really good question.
For me, it's a morbid. Again, calling it a morbid curiosity, and very quickly, just before you switch gears, I always felt more connected to cats that weren't mine. Like Nicole's cat passed away last year, and he lived to be like 20, like just as long.
Wow.
And that was a cat. I love that cat. He's not my cat, you know? And so it's always like the animals that you like that aren't yours.
Well, I guess I can't say that because my cats are very like very much my children now. Like I'm like the psycho who like when I'm cuddling with them, I start crying because I'm like, you're gonna die someday. Like I'm one of those where
I
I'm
do
like
that with Cooper.
Where I'm just like sad in advance.
Yeah, I mourn now because I want it to be easier when I have to mourn.
Yeah, I'm like I'm like you're gonna die.
I tell that's literally me.
Where you say to Jace,
I was like, like every morning I wake up and go, you still have a few years left in you, buddy. We're like, you can't die on me right now. Like we start our day with that.
Yeah.
And then I text my parents, you guys cannot die.
Yeah. It's forbidden.
And then I cry that they're going to die one day.
To which your
dad
dad
I start my day.
And then your dad responds.
We're very much.
Right?
Yep.
Your dad responds, good morning to you too.
Like
yeah.
My cat Lois, for context, she's 4. She my wife was living in North Carolina at the time, and in North Carolina, for those of you who don't know, that's just where like cats just like stray cats are just
they chill
everywhere. That's just because like no one.
I want to pretend that's not happening, so I'm going to ignore you. But like I hear that.
But like, so this kitten, like. Sorry.
It's not happening.
Okay.
So this is a fake story. Go ahead. Tell us this fictional story.
Crawled into my wife's yard, had so much like snot and dirt caked on her face that she couldn't open her eyes. Mm-hmm. And she was just like wandering around like helplessly. And she found food because my wife put out food, and she sent me a video of this hungry kitten. And the first thing I thought was like, oh, she's really hungry. And then my wife pointed out like, she's very sick. And I'm like, you got to take that little thing in tonight or else it's not going to make it. but here's the thing. You already have 7 other cats. So we're not allowed to get attached to this thing. Not allowed to like at all. Like we just have to, make sure it's okay and then send it along. And the next day, Lexi brings it to the vet and she didn't have a way to pay for it. So I literally called the vet and I gave them my credit card number.
Oh, you're a saint.
And
I was like, call me if you need donation.
Yeah,
we could have crowdfunded.
So like an hour later, when the appointment was over, they're like, "Your kitten is ready," and I was like, "No!" And I was like, "Just shit." It was the first, and I was like, "Exactly, shit." I gave them
the consequences of my own actions.
I gave them my information. They charged my card. And she started getting better. I was like, what's her name? I was like, this is our cat.
We have a kitten now.
This is our kitten.
Add it to the litter.
And Lexi was reading The Giver by Lois Larry and was like, I named her Lois.
It's perfect.
That's a good name. I love human names for animals.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
And I was just like, okay. But like, given that early into life, that's how she was born. Like, basically, she's not supposed to be here.
Right.
So it's like, okay. Yeah. Like, I don't know. She's going to have complications. She's going to have a very complicated life.
Right.
I'm not really well off financially. So it's like
post her story on the internet.
I was thinking
because
about it.
For animals, the people come through.
Yeah.
I
did that.
Serious, yeah.
I did that for my other.
Who cares?
My other cat, Sebastian.
I give money to anyone who posts about any animal.
My other cat, Sebastian, ate yarn, and it got stuck in her intestines, and it was like pulling her intestines, like it, like. So anybody, cat owners out there, please
don't pull it out of their butt.
No, please, just don't. I know it's cute, but like yarn is so bad for cats. I know there's like the cliche, like, oh, it's fun to play, but like she ate it and it got stuck in the front of her intestines, but then started to pull as it went down. So her intestines were literally getting crushed. And they were like, well, if we don't do surgery on her, she's going to die. By the way, surgery is going to be anywhere from $4,000 to $11,000. And I was looking at my account. I'm like,
just finance it forever.
I have a couple hundred, like thinking, but I was just like, but then I posted a GoFundMe and everybody came through. I was fucking super lucky.
That's amazing.
Yep. And I'm like, thank you for everybody who donated. It's like fucking, I love that. But I feel like now, like, oh my God, this is like the trauma dump episode. At the beginning of this year, my father-in-law's house burned down.
Oh my God.
They lost a cat. They lost 2 bunnies.
No. Kill me.
And they lost everything.
Yeah.
They lost everything. And
are they in North Carolina?
Yeah. I posted a GoFundMe. I'm like, this has become a thing. Like, I didn't want to post any connection on like Space Bear because I did that for Sebastian. Like, I was just like, hey guys. And then I was like, well, then the wildfires happened in California.
You stop feeling bad. Like,
well, I mean, it was just one of those things where it's like, well, I'm posting about like the thing that happened, but then the wildfires in California happened. It's like, well, everybody's kind of having fire problems.
Yeah, but still, like you gotta plead.
Yeah,
their conundrums don't dilute yours.
Right, exactly.
At least.
But anyway,
I'm just saying, don't have guilt when you post. Like,
yeah, this is just a long way of saying like, yeah, like posting traumatic things on Facebook. It just seems manipulative, so it's like I just am very careful with what I choose to post.
It seems like it's also it's a card that shouldn't ever be pulled. But if you do need to pull it, you can only pull it once.
No,
maybe twice.
I mean, that's exactly like he's right on the money there. So I'm just like, well, I don't know, like, because there are only so often people can help me out before it becomes like oh, there's Fillers posting he needs money again. Like he's always asking for money.
Putting it online and you're just like, it's one thing if it's someone you know who's seeing that and saying that, but you're like, okay, well maybe you're reaching a stranger who didn't know you had other, but also if they vet you to see if like, did his house really burn down? It really did. So I would, you're not posting anything from, I don't know.
God, I can't even fathom
also, I'm
people
like
that
shook
are,
by that.
I can't even fathom people that take advantage of that shit.
We went to high school with someone who did, or was, maybe they still are, I don't know. The only reason I became aware of this is Turtle Boy did an expose on this person, and they were one of those ones who just was always constantly,
this happened to me kind of thing. But
I'm kind of fascinated by these people though.
Like it was all like self, I guess, inflicted tribulations. You know, they always found themselves in like precarious scenarios, but it's like you did this on your own. Like, for example, stop having kids. You got like 4 kids. Stop having kids. Go to rehab. Like it was always just like, I need money because I'm gonna get evicted. I can't pay my bills, stuff like that. And like, yeah, but like, help yourself.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And I think Turtle Boy finally was calling this person on their bullshit because they were just constantly crying for help. I don't want to say like abusing the system, but it's like people are at that point. It's like a cry wolf situation. You're less inclined to want to help them.
Yeah.
Whereas that's why I'm like, look, be like cautious and careful.
How many times you post help me,
right?
Because then it's like, oh, that it's then you, regardless of whether it's real or not, it becomes the cry wolf situation. It's like, oh, every time something happens, you rely on other people. Like, you know, my car is very old. My car is like about 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know eventually it's just gonna just stop working one day. I'm gonna be like, I need money. Like, money is hard.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not like, oh, I'm a bum, I do nothing. It's just like, I get money and then it goes away.
Expenses
like,
are just
way
gone. More
like,
than what has been able to come in.
Like the last few years, like I've been working weddings and like
those stopped
I'm like
for a while.
collecting money, and I'm like, okay, I got a good amount of money, and then it would be like Sebastian ate yarn. It's like, oh, and then I got married, and those cost money, and it's like there's always like an expense that costs a lot. So it's just like, okay, well, I got to be mindful of like what's going on, and especially this year, which this year is not a promise to anybody apparently, because it's like, well, the economy is fucked up. I'm seeing so many stories of people like applying for jobs is a job itself, and I'm like, yeah. And I just quit my job because it was stupid, like for me to stay with them.
They're just gonna say I quit my job because it's stupid. End of sentence.
No, I
wish we were all so lucky.
I mean, I don't want to like talk about it in front, but like basically, it was like I was working through a company that was getting me wedding like gigs, but the payoff was like I didn't have to do this, I didn't have to do that. Like it was like, oh, I didn't have to use my own equipment, and then they changed all that where it was like I don't get to work my own hours. I have to use my own equipment and I have to edit all of my shit. I'm like, okay, those are all, literally the whole reason why I got the job is because it was beneficial to my schedule.
Was it like a change in management, or they just financially?
They just financially, like, right. You know, so it's just like, oh, you know, so now I'm like, all right, I stopped that. So I have no promise of a future revenue, but I've been getting comedy gigs, which is like helpful. But very quickly I learned, I was like, oh, no one can survive doing comedy, just comedy, because I'm like, all right, I made $50 in January.
It's a business expense. Can't you write that off?
I hope so. Because I'm like thinking like, oh my God, this is literally impossible. Like you have to do so many gigs a week. And some of my friends have figured it out where they're making like 5 digits with comedy, which I know is like, okay, it's kind of funny to brag about, but that's crazy to think about. People can get more than that, but money sucks. Fuck money. It's so it's so obnoxious. I love the barter system. Not to get into like communist talk or anything, but I recently met I
recently met a communist.
I recently met like somebody who gives Thai massages, and we're working out like I'll do photography for them if you give me massages. And it's like,
I was gonna say you have a skill though that you should be able to trade that for like so many things.
Yeah, I think
I think that's like such a huge.
I think we all it would be great to live in that, but whatever. We can't, you know. Anyway, really sucks about Michelle, huh?
Like it's been a tough year.
And like
it's always the. I feel like it's always the, like the even or the odd number years, right? Like we're in an odd number year.
I don't know. 2020 was pretty bad.
Sure, but it's an odd year.
But it's like in the intervals, right? So like if it ends with a 0 or a 5, those always seem to be the worst years.
And you know, like it's really easy to believe conspiracies. I will say it's getting easier and easier to believe in conspiracies. Like I will admit that part of me is concerned by the amount of younger people passing away. And I'm like,
you're like, okay, it's the vaccines, like, man.
Well, what if? But I keep on telling myself the same thing. Like the people who are like, it's the vaccines, man. I didn't get that poison. I would rather die than be left in a world of just those people.
Right.
Of just like, oh, this fucking, I told you. I'm like, imagine that is worse than dying.
No,
death. Just being left in a world where only those people exist. No thanks.
Like, take me.
I'm good with if it is wiping us all out. I'm
Michelle.
like, I'm fine. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So fucking whatever.
You are listening to Hardly Focused.
Oh, you gotta give him that huck too and spit on that thing.
This podcast contains explicit content.
Well, only one of us walks around with their noise-canceling AirPods in and then turning the corner and having the bejesus scared out of them.
Every day.
You are listening to Hardly Focused.
Did you lack object permanence like a 6-month-old?
It sucks though, like to be thinking about that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, how many people recently have passed away that you're like, whoa.
And then out of those, and I don't have like any hard statistics I can just throw out to back this up, but how many of those are like fentanyl related?
Yeah, I
like,
kind of go there where I'm like, I think that's just every year it's more and more out of control where that's the correlation.
Yeah, like.
But again, I can't recall how anyone died right at this moment.
I can't actually tell you the last celebrity that died.
I should know.
Roberta Flack. She was the Fugees.
Yeah.
That was the last big one.
Killing Me Softly. Yep.
The drummer from the Jam passed away last week.
You know that guy?
Okay, Larry.
do better.
I'm gonna let me see what Jack is texting me.
It's a seriously.
Name a better celebrity.
No, I mean like because
I'm gonna type the word die into text.
That's not what but I mean, yes, that was the bit, I guess. But
right.
I realize how horrible that sounds, but no, because there have been like
I've never heard of them, so they're not famous.
There have been some people that you're like, oh, like, you know, like bigger names that you're like, oh fuck, they're gone. What?
Well, I put dead in my text with Jack, and John Adams Morgan. I was shook by that one. You know, yeah. Real Housewives.
Hey, that came from you.
I never watched. That was me. That was me.
Never watched. Sorry.
I say the word dead a lot.
Well, you also you say a lot of things.
I do say a lot of things.
I'll leave it at that. You say a lot.
Carter.
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 Yeah, no one saw that coming.
Hey, you know,
Fentanyl.
you overdosed.
Yeah, vaccine.
You decided to.
That was the same thing with Betty White. Like the second Betty White died, they're like, "It's that damn vaccine." I think that's when the first time I ever heard like the troll version of like people being like, "The vaccine is taking people," because it's like everybody was like, "Betty White's bulletproof. She's never gonna die." Blah blah blah, and then like she almost made it to 100, and people were like, "Nope, that's a vaccine. She got the vaccine. I told you."
So I was more angry about Betty White dying because that was
like 11 days.
Yeah, like 2 weeks out from her 100th birthday. They were planning celebrations and everything, and they went as scheduled, but then became more of a in memoriam than it was like a celebration of being alive.
Yeah,
celebration of life is typically past tense. So, and Carter was just like, I think he was just fed up. He was just like, "Look, I can't do this anymore.
Fuck this.
I'm sick of being like."
I don't want to see the way this. I mean, he picked a great time because who knows what this country is going to look like in 3 or 4 months.
Look, he made it to 100. He wanted to live to be 100. He wanted to live long enough to vote in the election. And he did both of those. And that, at that point, I always say if you can make it to 75, then you've lived a great life. If you can make it to 100, at that point, like it's an insult to be sad about their passing.
Yeah. And not to get on the political path. Like I get everybody out. I get why we're where we're at. Our choices were between idiots or assholes. And it's like, well, the idea of the country being run by idiots is slightly more scary than assholes. So it's like, but the weird part was like the idiots didn't bring fear to me. Like I wasn't fearful when the idiots were running. I'm more fearful with the assholes.
Well, on the subject of being sad about celebrity passing, you were upset when David Lynch passed away a few weeks ago. That I think was one of the big.
What the fuck, dude? Why? How did I?
It's because so much has gone on.
Yeah, so much has. Yeah, like seriously, big David Lynch fan. Like I watched him talk about the weather all the time. He'd just be like, "It's gonna be a great day in California. We're gonna have blue skies, and the sun will be shining, and it will be beautiful." Like he was just so like there was such like happy. There was a very distinct way that he talked that was just so like that's how like he's right. That's how it is. Like that's so official.
We knew he was sick too. He had emphysema, and that was very public.
Yeah.
So but 78 though. I mean, again, that goes back to what I just said. I mean, you lived a full life at that point. What I loved about his weather reports was that he did them on the radio for several years on Joe Escalante's morning show in California. Next to Timothy Oliphant doing sports, who didn't like, he's just friends with Joe. He didn't get paid to do it. He just was like, loved the idea of just like waking up at 4 a.m. to go be on the radio and do sports updates and not get paid for it. And then Lynch doing like 2 weather updates.
And then he dedicated like a whole YouTube channel where literally every day he would do the weather and the lucky number.
I'm sure we needed that during COVID. Was he doing it during COVID?
Yeah.
We needed something like that.
It was perfect during COVID. Yeah. They would be separate videos too for some reason. Like he would do the weather and be like, "It's going to be a great day in California. We have sun shining and it's going to be warm. So be careful." Like he would just be so authentic about it. And then the next video he'd post would be like, "Okay, everybody, we're doing the lucky number where you have these numbers in a cage and I pick one and whatever I pick is the lucky number. Today's lucky number is 8. And it would just end there.
Do you want me to just play a random one here?
Yeah,
okay.
Just go for it.
This is from December 16th, 2022.
Here we go for today's number. It's December 16, 2022. 10 balls. Each ball has a number. Numbers 1 through 10. Swirl the numbers. Pick a number. Today's number is 1.
That was just it. There's a lot of editing going into that video too. There's those Windows Movie Maker zooming in, zooming out titles. So you said he posted like 2 separate videos. That one netted 200,000 views. You know what he's doing separately? He was just gaming the system.
Yeah, he knew.
Because he could get a few 100,000 views on each video.
Yeah.
We'll just do them all in piecemeal.
I guess so, but like, you know,
you wanted to get that monetization.
Well, I mean, YouTube favors watch time over views, so it's like,
sure,
because it's they want to know how long you're staying on YouTube, not so much like how many views, but I don't know. He was an interesting guy. Twin Peaks, Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive. Just like some pretty interesting Eraserhead, like all very distinct things that he did. He was like,
it was avant-garde. Like he made that like famous.
Yeah, he was a cool guy. So yeah, I mean there was
Jeff Baina too. That was tough. That's Audrey Plaza's husband.
Yeah.
But she, did you see her at SNL 50? I don't think we've done a podcast since SNL 50.
I didn't see it, no.
She introed, I believe it was when Miley Cyrus and Brittany Howard performed Nothing Compares to You.
Oh.
Which, like, that alone was like Prince had been on the show several times, so obviously it's going to be a tribute to Prince, but it was also, I think, a low-key tribute to Sinead O'Connor as well, even though they're not going to call attention to it. But Aubrey introed the performance wearing a tie-dye shirt, and that was in tribute to her husband because they got married wearing tie-dye shirts during the pandemic. But like, hey, the fact that she was out and doing it, even just a small little appearance, I think you're supposed to have a much, if not SNL 50, a much bigger role. I think she was actually supposed to maybe host or do. She had to back out because.
Oh, that's right. I remember something. She was doing something and
she had to. Yeah. She
actually.
Because
everybody was saying like, is she still going to do it? And people are like, well, she has a good reason not to.
Right. Hey, some people are maniacal and find catharsis in showing up and doing that stuff when what the hell, Chris Hardwick, because he would do the like Talking Dead, all those shows, and at the end of a Talking Dead episode, like his father died that day, I think, or maybe like the day before, and Talking Dead was broadcast live, and he showed up to do it. Because he's like, look, I wanted to be here. This is how I'm coping with this.
Yeah, some people keeping busy is like the way to go.
Yeah.
Which I would recommend a lot, but like not so much that you can't experience your feelings. But
I thought a lot about this recently. I had a friend growing up. It was one of my dad's friends. It was his son. So I would see this dude probably like once a year, sometime every summer. And I hadn't seen him since I think I was like 13. We kept in touch over social media, but he passed away at 30 due to cancer. And I remember when I found out, I was at work when I was working at the video game studio. And my first reaction was to just like, short of just like collapsing at my desk at the news, my reaction was to just go back to work because I'm like,
this is too much.
And I remember messaging someone because someone who sat near me noticed that I looked not well and messaged me and said, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I just found out a good friend of mine died. And they're like, "Oh my God, do you need to go home?" And I'm like, no, I'm going to stay here and work because that's like, what else am I going to do? This like time is going to go by doing this, and it's going to like obviously I need to mourn this, and I did later. I grieved about it, but in the moment I'm like, work is going to distract me, and that kind of like even today, and obviously I did not have the same reaction as you did, Nate, about Michelle passing away, but I hear the news, and obviously I announce it to you guys. And then I went back to work because like, well,
he just waited for the next news to come in, next death.
Because like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm sad about it, but like, you know, what helps not being sad, as long as you're good about moderating it, is distracting yourself.
I just have to bring up like, what was my interaction? It was like,
I will say,
because I wouldn't let go. Like you guys were like moving on, like but I still haven't figured it out.
You just dump that information on him and just leave him to fend for himself.
It was like, okay, so Jack posts at 12:42 p.m. Michelle Trachtenberg, and I'm like, all uppercase, what? And then
just
what? I was just thinking about her. And then it was like, and then at this point, I feel like you went back to work, and I was just like, and I was like, how is she doing? Is she doing okay? Oh no, she doesn't look well. And then I had such a big crush on her, like from childhood. God damn it. Not to be weird, but like she was in my dream last night. We were friends. I was looking her up because EuroTrip was in my blah, 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 you know, like, this is fucking me up.
That's, you didn't ask more questions because I find that wildly interesting.
We
when your subconscious
a little bit. I mean,
yes,
Jack did say like, yeah, same.
This is where I go and screenshot. No, I'm serious, guys. Look at this time last night. I Googled it. Believe me.
Yeah.
Believe me, guys.
I mean, I
believe you.
There's no, I mean,
I believe you. I'm just saying, like, this is where
there's no way, like, I could.
I'm like,
articulate.
no. Somebody validate this for me.
And I'm like, all right, this is so weird. Like, literally last night, and like, I'm still like, it's one of those things. We've been talking about it today. I've been looking at it all day, and I'm still like, nah. That didn't happen. This is incorrect.
Yep.
Like, this is just
it was fake news.
Yeah.
When I
just drama that somebody else is.
Mm-hmm. This is Blake Lively's cooking something here.
Fucking
I know she has something to do with this.
When I shared the Morrowind meme, were you offended by that?
No, I was like, what is the context?
Okay.
I just was honestly like, because he shared a meme, and I was like, well, this is from something, obviously.
As it usually goes with me. So for the unaware, the game The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, when you're playing a game and someone who is crucial to the main campaign of the game dies, a pop-up appears that says, quote, with this character's death, the thread of prophecy is severed. Restore a saved game to restore the weave of fate, or persist in the doomed world you have created. And there is a page out there that every time a famous person dies, they post a picture of that person with the pop-up underneath it.
Yeah.
So that's how you know it's official. It's not this TMZ bullshit. No, it's when the Morrowind meme is posted.
Yeah.
And you know it's for real, for real.
It's like when Wikipedia updates.
Dude, if you go on Michelle Trachtenberg's page right now, it's got the big thing at the top that says this page has been locked because it's being like
overflowing with.
Right. What does it say right now? It's like, because first it'll say this is being heavily edited because, this article is being heavily edited because its subject has recently died.
Fucking shit sucks. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I planned to do. Like, there was never any like plan to like meet her or ever reach out to her or anything, but it's just like it's just shitty when you're like told you can't. Like, I mean, it's
definite.
It's
now.
taken away now.
Would you have gone to like
where it is?
Would you have gone to a convention?
I feel like a convention would be the place.
I've never gone to a convention.
Oh, you got to, man. We went to that 90s convention a couple years ago in Hartford, and
Look, I will say the experience is so bizarre, but
what the hell's her name? Doherty. Shannon Doherty was there. And Shannon Doherty, it's sick for a very, very long time. And at this point had already straight up announced, like, it's dude, I'm not getting better. Literally one day I'm going to die. She's just announcing it, like, just don't be surprised when it happens. I'm telling you right now, I'm dying.
I'm terminal. Yeah.
But she was still out going to like conventions. She was there. Like you and I looked at her, we pointed at her.
I hope it was because it just made her forget for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Sure.
What she's going through, and not that she needs money for her treatment.
Right. I mean, that's what I did.
I pray that's what it is.
That's what I would do. If I found out I was dying, but was still like well enough to like get up and do daily functions, I would just keep going and working until
I know you wouldn't.
My last
No,
day.
you wouldn't.
Yeah, you're right.
He says that.
Yeah,
he
you
absolutely would.
Yeah, we'll try
he would
again.
be so excited to quit his job. Like,
no, fuck that. Yeah.
He looks forward to that.
I always say.
Oh, I thought you meant like you wouldn't stop. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't.
No,
I wouldn't just.
he would
fuck
stop.
yeah, I'd quit my job. I'd just fucking.
Jack,
do
that's a
cool
really
shit.
nice sentiment.
Well, you
wouldn't. Yeah.
Look, you're petrified of everything, right? And you're afraid about just in general air traffic and flying.
Majorly.
And I look at it as, well, if something goes awry, I don't have to go to work anymore. I try to look on the bright side of things.
I'm gonna share with you something that could go either way. It could either help you or it could destroy you.
Be very, very easy.
Okay. I take comfort in the movie Final Destination.
Yeah.
Because the theme of Final Destination is like, it doesn't matter what you do, when it's your time, it's your time. Like, so sure. I used to have like this thing where I'm like, oh, I don't want to go on like a bus or a train because like, what if, and I'm like, one of the overlying themes of Final Destination is like, if you avoid the train because you think you're going to die, you'll die somewhere, some other way.
Yeah.
You'll die on the bus.
So it's not so much like, oh, like I can avoid it. Like if I just box myself in and do nothing, like I can just completely, no, like it's one of those things where it's, I wouldn't say we live in a simulation, but we live in a simulation. Kind of, you know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm sorry if that's not helpful for you, but like for me, there was like some comfort because
I say the same thing, but certain moments I'm just more particularly fearful of one scenario versus another, and I hyperfixate on it.
I think for me, it's like, I don't want it to be like, oh, if I had only just then I wouldn't have been here when you know, like, I don't want my last moment to be like, I got on the wrong train or something like that. Like, I don't want it to be like that. And I think what Final Destination did to me was remove that. There's no such thing as you got on the wrong thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's just the design of the fucking universe. I don't know about you, but I don't know if there's a God, but I know there's a universe, and I believe the universe is like a real thing, and that it has all these different moving parts.
Oh, I'm a firm believer in both karma and fate.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I just think like that's just the way it's designed.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that there is a design.
I also do believe in sorry to cut you off. I believe in reincarnation too. Becky, you and I talk about this quite frequently. But one of my cats is just attached to my hip to the point where I'm like, bro, I need some breathing space. Where's your fat brother who's always hiding?
Did you recently get your hip removed and then it became reincarnated as your cat?
yes, indeed. I'm without hip. But I question though. Sometimes
Who are you?
Well, sometimes I look at Bill and I ask two questions. One, what am I pulling out of your ass today?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. What did I pull out of Bill's
String.
ass? String.
Yeah. PSA.
There you
which
go.
we will never do again. We now learned that was super dangerous, and
it could end
just
up
leave
costing
bring
you
to vet.
either $4,000 or $11,000.
Yep.
Yep. So we learned.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
And then the other question is, who did you used to be? Which one of my family members are you? Like, are you my...
I started calling... Ted is my cat, by the way.
Cool.
But that's my grandmother.
Yeah.
And I call him grandma.
Yeah. I mean,
you do that enough, he's going to start responding
No, but
to
I
it.
do. He does.
It. I mean...
Grandma.
That's what I think. I think that Bill could be like my one of my grandparents, or he could be my uncle. And that's why he's always just like around me and staring at me and yelling at me. And I try to... I guess that helps in that, you know, I'm just not looking at him like, you're an annoying cat. Like, no, you're actually like, you're a fallen family member that just, you know, is...
Found its way back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some reason, you know, there was I guess a reason why I wanted that little cat that was yelling at me at the adoption center. But,
yeah. I like how we're all equally weird.
Right.
It's great.
I, at my cousin's shower or whatever last year, I came in hot and I said to all my mom's siblings, I was like, so Jack's cat is grandma. And so I was like, you got to say, like, I see her eyes in this, like, I see the soul in there. And I just need you guys to know. And they're like,
okay.
Okay. Sick.
Cool. Good.
Yeah.
And then they start talking amongst themselves. It's that man she's with.
Yeah. I mean, they know I'm a little weird in a like fun way.
It's because
they're weird too in a different way.
It's because he plays video games and has a podcast. It's rubbing off on her. Now she thinks the cat is her grandmother.
I'm so removed from my family, I feel like. Like I'm so weird and such a different character from everybody else that
makes it fun.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just it's the way I'm wired. It's just I don't want to be I don't want to be normal. Like,
right.
It just seems
I like to entertain.
Jack, if there is a hell, you are firmly there, my friend.
Hardly focused.
Do you like hot fudge sundaes?
You are listening to Hardly Focused.
Have you tried the lasagna? It's my favorite.
Dissecting the news, one tangent at a time.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Hear more at hardlyfocused.com.
So someone put it great on Threads too. They said it was the what the fuck of times. It was the fuck this shit of times.
That's a good shirt. But like for real, like I feel one of the risks that we ran today, which I think we've done a pretty good job avoiding, is just
until now.
Me like just getting caught in that OCD loop of just like I haven't really felt like I got my feelings out about Michelle, but it's also like I said all the things, but then you start talking like, and then it's like, dude, I just had a dream about her. It's like, yeah, this is the fourth time that you said this on the podcast, but it's like one of those things where you say it because you're like, it's not cathartic yet.
Yeah.
You're not like,
and
I
it's
haven't
not going to
reached that
hit
point.
you because you don't know details yet. And you'll have a new experience each piece of information that you get.
Yeah.
And then you'll have a memory or you'll go back now because I want to go watch Harriet the Spy. I do.
Yeah.
Oh, quickly. Pluto TV, clutch move by them. They put Harriet the Spy up for on-demand streaming for
you
free.
know what?
Yeah.
Consumers are going to consume. Good for them.
And I mean, like that's what I was talking about. It's just like, it's sort of weird in a way, but like, it is comforting to like go back and be able to watch those.
I have it on VHS. I do own that one. We just need a VHS
is it orange?
Player. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
It would be a crime if it wasn't orange.
No, it was one of the good ones.
Fro, actually, he texted me today and said that his crush, Michelle Trachtenberg, had passed away and he was going to watch EuroTrip tonight in her honor.
You know, yeah.
So that's just that. I mean, well, when a musician dies, I mean, when like Chris Cornell died, you better believe the first thing I did is I put on Soundgarden and I blasted that shit. And I didn't care. It was like 6:00 in the morning. I didn't care who heard it.
So not to be weird, which then is always followed by something weird. For me, I say that I've always had a crush on Michelle, but it never reached like the sexual fantasy level.
This was, you got, yeah.
It was always
intellectual,
it was always
emotional.
Just like, yeah, it was always
real.
That.
This was real.
Always like that because it was never like, oh, but to be fair, I don't really have that with celebrities because I find that like in a like not helpful. I mean, I just don't think it's helpful to be like, oh, like what if, and like but
look,
I don't look. I'm not judging. I'm not judging. No.
Most of Jack's relationships are that.
Haley Williams is quite the dish.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is mid. Though.
I've got him. Yeah. I brought him in. I said, have this crush with me.
With Taylor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wouldn't give her a pass, and now he's looking.
I said this to my therapist, and it's probably some level of like lie, but I believe it's mostly true that if like name any celebrity right now, like if they came in the room and they were like, I want to fuck you, I'd just be like, can we just like hang out?
I'd
rather hang out. Like I don't want to do like it. That means more to me than like, I don't know. Like
what if they said no? We can only fuck or I'm out.
Well, it was good seeing you.
Would you give up the experience?
If it was all or nothing, then I probably would.
Yeah.
Because it's like at that point, it's like all or nothing.
And you just hope you could be able to talk a little bit during it.
It would probably be mostly talking.
Like I would probably have
to. I would have to probably take like a blue chew or something because I would just be so focused on like, this is cool. I get to hang out with you.
We're taking
and like I don't know. Yeah, I'd be like, but like my focus is
like,
elsewhere.
Shh. Stop talking.
That would just be
And then you could turn around and say, so and so raped me.
But way to go,
Jack.
But I never had that. I never had that with Michelle. Like, I mean, I will say like she's attractive, but like the way that she was attractive wasn't like fucking porn star level.
No, she was really pretty though.
She was pretty, like for sure. Like, but there's different levels. I feel like of celebrities where you're like, oh, everybody wants to fuck that person. Like for a while, it was Britney Spears, like in like the early 2000s.
Oh, she was so sexualized.
It was just like so, like that's that. Well, yes, well said. A lot of the celebrities were sexualized. I don't feel like Michelle was ever sexualized.
No, whenever you
EuroTrip is the closest that we get.
Right. Yeah. And then it's weird because Britney now is like just straight up posting nudes of herself and like, dancing naked, holding knives.
And we're like, no, thank you this time. Maybe if you went back, like,
we're like, you're too old now.
Well, even,
you're gross.
Well, like,
no.
Well, like Haley Williams is someone who is, she's very outspoken with her opinions and has talked about like, being sexualized as a musician. But at the same time, in like the past year, she's been very open about just like, I'm not saying like being naked, but she is very like promiscuous now.
Yeah.
If you see like
it's on her terms.
Right. Like she's willing to do it, but it's like at the same time, like, is there like, I don't know, people clamoring for this now at this stage as opposed to, 2007. Yeah, that's a weird one. But you're right. Michelle never.
It just doesn't
cross
fit,
that line.
It just doesn't fit with her. Like the whole like if somebody was like, oh, here's like a sex tape.
Yeah.
Like I'd just be like, I don't think I would.
But that's probably because of the roles that she played.
Well,
I do picture when I picture her, I feel like she was just always like buttoned up.
Well, she was very like in 6 Feet Under. She was very like pop star, slutty, like party girl.
Okay. I say that as having like I've never watched like any of the stuff she's in. So
she's always
I just know her on the cover of EuroTrip. I haven't even seen EuroTrip.
To paint a full picture of her character in 6 Feet Under. Sorry if this is spoiling for anybody who's currently watching a show that was.
I'm sure a lot of people are going back now though.
Yeah, but like so. She didn't have like a major role, but like so one of the main characters, guy, his boyfriend, yes, it was a gay relationship. He was a security guard, and one of his jobs was to like protect Michelle Trachtenberg's character. I think her name was Celeste. I can't remember. Like that could be wrong. But anyway, he was gay and he was her bodyguard, but she seduced him into having sex. So she like came home. He came home one day and was like, Celeste and I had sex. And it's like, so you're straight now? Like what's going on? Like it was like point. Like that was her character. She was very, and then like, she's like, because we had sex, you're fired. Like it was like, like, I'm sorry, but she didn't. I maybe had like four episodes or something. Yeah. I don't know if you like if people can fact check me, whatever. But
she wasn't on for very long.
Yeah, it's not like I understand why people are saying like that's not one of her things that, but also it would be weird to be like, rest in peace. Michelle Trachtenberg, 6 feet under.
Like four episodes, by the way.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That happened the other day. Like someone, like a celebrity who like he was big on, not necessarily big on TV. I think like he had like a regular role in like one show in the 80s, but he was like a guy who would show up like as a guest on like all these different shows over the last 40 years. And you look at his filmography and it's like one episode credit to his name. Mm-hmm. And the headline from some entertainment website announcing his passing referred to him as a star from Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
And it, like he was in like one episode of Breaking Bad and his character didn't even have a name.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens, but I get it.
That's kind of fun.
But I can't remember. There's probably somebody out there that like she was either a pop star or an actress within 6 feet under. But I really got sucked into that show, and I was like, but when she showed up, it was just like any other show when she appears. I was like, my friend, like some weird like
she's familiar.
I'm so glad she's here.
I mean, she was on some big shows too, even just like as the guest roles, because she was on Criminal Minds. She was on House.
Yeah. I was going to start watching House because I get little clips and I'm like,
I like
this
House.
just seems so interesting. That and Grey's Anatomy. Like I know you'll
be watching it forever. Yeah.
Grey's Anatomy. You
that's
can
a feat.
You can tap out at a certain point. It's okay.
But it's so deliciously dramatic that I'm like, I kind of want to go into this world because it's like always talking about the way main characters died or something like that.
It gets to a point where you just like, someone on that show will die, like, and they're in their like 20th season, I think, and like someone dies on the show nowadays, and there's just zero connection. Like you just don't have any sympathy.
The clip that came up for me was the episode where the guy who lost his wife, and then he brings a gun into the ER.
Yes,
and then like this one like nurse or doctor was like, "You're not allowed to be back here," and he's just like, whatever, bang.
Yep.
And like kills her. And I was like, holy shit. Like never watched the show. Don't know who this character is, but I was like, oh my God. Like, fuck.
That was at the, like what I consider like the tail end of like the show.
It was the season finale of one of the seasons.
Well, I think so. It was at the tail end of what I consider like the show to be good, because after that point, then like the original characters started leaving, and then now there are just far too many forgettable characters on that show. Like, McDreamy was still on the show.
Is Grey still on?
She's not. She shows up for like a handful of episodes every season now, but like she's not on the show full time.
That's
anymore.
Weird. Oh, anyway, it's just like, but still, it's got me like, I know nothing about the show, and I saw the clip and I was like, oh,
and
like,
what fucks me up is that actor was on the West Wing as the head of the president's Secret Service detail.
I think I remember that.
So
he looks familiar.
Yeah, to see him go from that to the complete opposite was jarring.
I was like, damn, this show is juicy as fuck.
Yeah, that was a good era.
But then now House is like been like showing up, and it's just like
House
it's basically Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
To quote my dad, he was like, yeah, it's Sherlock Holmes in like a medical drama. Because it's like he uses like something comes up and he makes the connection, and it's just like how Sherlock would solve a mystery. It's like how he would diagnose somebody.
Yep.
So but yeah, I saw that she was in that for a few years. Is she a main character? Because it seemed like
she was only in one episode. Michelle.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you thinking of Olivia Wilde?
No.
Okay.
I specifically like went through. You know what it is? I probably looked up her filmography.
Yeah.
And it probably just listed House, like the running time of House, instead of like how long she was a part of House.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Like it's like 2005 to 2014.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I'm like, oh, she was in a lot of episodes.
IMDb does that. I go to Wikipedia for that stuff.
Yeah.
They usually list it out better.
So that makes sense that she was probably just in one episode.
Olivia Wilde, by the way, I was thinking about this recently, and hopefully now she doesn't die because I'm saying this. But Wilde comes from Oscar Wilde, but that's not her real last name. She picked it because of Oscar Wilde. Her real last name, now it's pronounced Coburn, but phonetically, the way it's spelled, Cockburn.
I can see why she changed it.
Yeah, I would change my last name too.
Man, I always thought about so many people have cool stage names. And like somebody's like, your name's cool. You know, people think Nate Fillers is a stage name.
Really?
I was like, that's weird, but I guess.
I could see that.
Like,
because it's a good name.
Thank you. I didn't know that. Like, I still don't. But people come up to me, they're like, wait, that's your real name? I'm like, that is
Are you
weird.
any relation to the pop singer?
Who?
Michael Bolton?
Oh yeah. That guy sucks. Why should I change my name? He's the one that sucks.
That always baffled me because like his name is Michael Bolton and he'd be related to Michael Bolton. Why would they have the same name?
Yeah, that's not
unless you were like the sixth cousin twice removed.
I will say that those parents named both their kid Pete.
Sure. Wow, way to Danny Bonaducci that one.
Danny Bonaducci. Well, I just bring it up because like I brought up Lexi had never heard about Pete and Pete.
Yeah.
And she was like, wait, they were brothers and they were both named Pete? I was like, huh. Never really thought about that. Why did their parents name them both Pete?
Right?
I didn't
never explained, never acknowledged. It was just how it was.
Why is it okay parents naming their kids the same name?
Yeah. Well, they also didn't seem to care that little Pete, kid's like 6 years old and he's hanging out with Artie, the strongest man in the world.
Yeah. It doesn't transfer well into today's culture, but it's like, you know, like.
There's a meme, I'm going to butcher it, but there's a meme that was something that was like 1992, back when it was acceptable for your child to hang out with a 40-year-old autistic man.
Yeah, it's weird. Because even now I'm like, that seems fine. Context, but
Pete had the best character names though.
Yeah, they did.
Like Endless Mike Hellstrom, the bully, and then there's another bully that called him Open Face because he liked open face sandwiches. Mm-hmm. And then Stu Benedict, bus driver. Like that was his full name. You just couldn't call him Stu. He was just Stu Benedict, bus driver.
Dude, I gotta go back and watch because I don't really remember anything about Pete and Pete. Like, I don't remember. But
yeah,
now,
you got the whole series on DVD propping your door.
Yeah, it's my door
open.
stop. Our door is jiggly, so the Pete and Pete DVD
that's
holds
crazy.
it in place.
I have no way of playing DVDs. And I think that's wild to think about.
Well,
like, remember when like computers all had like CD drives?
And they don't. When I built this thing, my case specifically has no spot for a CD
it's
drive.
Weird. And I'm like, I know that sounds really dated, but I remember working at Circuit City selling computers, and people would always come in and be like, I need a computer that can play DVDs. I'm like, well, they all do.
I need a computer that has one of those cup holders. You know, the retractable one?
Even now, nobody's car has it.
Yeah.
Like, we've just completely aged out.
I know. I said that I was such a douchebag to well, I'm even more of a douchebag because I'm going to forget their name. But I played with them, and she was trying to give out like CDs, like sell CDs. And I was like, you should probably also like mention like Spotify.
Yeah,
or, like,
give a
something
QR
like that,
code.
or a QR code
Yeah.
because like no one has a way of playing
Right.
CDs nowadays. So there's really no reason to buy. Like I would be fine with like paying money for like a Spotify link or something like that. But the idea of like buying a CD just hurts because you're like, this is useless.
Right. And it takes up space.
Yeah. And
now we have a bin of them.
And that's all it is. Like it just will get scratched or
We have a bag of DVDs. I've been cleaning. I moved in, so I'm taking over the closet. And because you're here, we moved the bag of DVDs to the other room, but it's just been shuffled back and forth because we don't know what to do with them.
Interesting.
Oh, wait,
It just takes up space.
Yeah.
Wait, are they Kate's? Are those
I don't
Kate's
know.
DVDs? All right. Kate has a bunch of DVDs that I don't think Kate is coming back
I mean,
for.
some of them are definitely yours, but I said, Jack, go through them, take what you want. You know, what do we keep just because it was comfort? Give Kate whatever, and then I'm like, we're bringing them somewhere to do, which like I'm like, I don't even think they need.
I do like that, like the streaming platforms. Like I'm sure it's fucking ruled by money, but to me, I'd like to believe that it was just to provide comfort for people. Like,
yeah,
the fact that you could probably go on Netflix and there's probably a whole bunch of Michelle stuff that you could watch, or like,
and maybe
I mean, they
family
definitely
might want it.
They definitely,
who knows? I mean,
definitely gained something from posting it.
Yeah,
sure.
and this will it'll satiate people, comfort them for the next few days, and then unfortunately,
but it is weird if everybody just stayed silent and no one acknowledged. This happened. I think that's almost more offensive.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with it. It's just it's a weird scenario because it's like, for me, it feels like what I imagined people went through when Princess Diana died.
Yeah, and that one is like, she was very iconic.
Yeah.
But America reacted to it. Like I remember my mother being in shambles about it, and little me at the time, I'm like 8 years old. I'm like, I don't get it.
Who the fuck is
I
this?
Like, she's British.
I
Like,
think
she's
the manner in which they die, though, too, adds an element of like hysteria to it. Like I was just like, oh, this is,
horrific car
like
accident.
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I think.
And there was drama leading up to it, which, we know now. I mean, I don't know if my parents were following along where they're like, oh, who is she dating now? They just get divorced. So you have this whole scandal and then it ends with that. So there was a momentum to it.
Yeah. I think that's part of what bothers me a lot about Michelle is like everything leading up to this was like people being like, is she sick? Like, is she dying? Like, what's going on?
And
Something's going on. And like, it's like
Hollywood might know, like we didn't, but like anyone who was a couple, people separating her, we're like, oh yeah, this isn't a shock.
It just sucks that like leading up to this, it was that like the reason why she was on my radar was everyone was concerned for her. And it was just like, it's just like kind of like if, oh God, I'll knock on wood for this. Like if Bam Margera fucking died.
How that hasn't happened yet though.
Right.
Baffling.
But you're like leading up to it, like, oh, I was hoping to, when I went on Instagram last night to see like, it wasn't like she was getting fatter or like,
yeah,
because for me, it was like she was getting very thin, very thin,
skeletal,
skeletal. And then like her hair was thinning out. You could see like,
she just
like,
looked
I just
sick.
wanted to go back to see on Instagram and be like, oh, she's doing better. It really was just, guys, I'm just not wearing makeup today.
Yeah.
Like fucking chill out. Cause I mean, unfortunately.
Was her post erotic too? Like, was there an element of
it didn't really seem like it. No.
The only thing that was weird was like in the last few days that they were all throwback pictures. None of her last 4 posts were like what she looked like recently.
Well, that's what I was wondering. How many even during the last year were they throwback?
I don't know. Like that's a good question.
She would post a lot of stories too regularly. And they were like, taking pictures right there in the moment and posting it as a story. So you're seeing like what she looked like currently. Becky, that was her last photo that she posted of herself that wasn't a throwback. and that's from January, end of January, I believe.
Yeah, and a lot of people point out like it looked like she
February, I'm
was
sorry.
like dealing with some yellow.
She looks like she had jaundice. Like like look at this photo. Like
that's what I was gonna say,
like
but I wasn't sure how to pronounce it.
Well, pause. So I was, because I'm like, why did she come up in the last like year or two? A podcast that I follow and listen to in January 2024 tweeted, "Have y'all seen Michelle Trachtenberg lately? Because her IG posts are ... And then the comments are, jaundice came up. Everyone mad that somebody said that, but like,
yeah, I don't want to be on the support train.
You're not alone in that sentiment.
I don't want to be. I want to be on that side of like, chill out. She's older, or like she's not wearing makeup. Like she's not following societal norms. She didn't get plastic surgery. Blah blah blah. Like good for her. But then I'm like, but they're right. She does look in trouble.
And this had to have been a recent, I'd say like a recent thing, because I know earlier in this episode I was saying that for the last couple of years I've noticed that she just looked different, but then going through photos just now in like I'm like photos from this time last year, and she looked like more comparable to say 15 years ago. But then obviously just, she like 37 in these photos, so like what you would expect.
I don't know. I quickly just scanned while you guys were recording, and I'm like, I feel like I see a mix of older photos presented as could be current day, and then a mix of the old.
It's weird because like before I came over here, I went on like Threads. Like, okay, so again, morbid curiosity. You want to know all of the things. Like, I want to see what Sarah Michelle Gellar was going to say about this. So I saw that. I checked her Twitter, and like she's not on Twitter anymore.
Yeah.
Her last post was like, bye Twitter. So I was like, maybe Threads. So then I searched Sarah Michelle Gellar and everybody's like posting, like tagging her in about the death of, and one of the first things that came up was just like a video tribute of like all of the different roles that she played, that Michelle Trachtenberg played.
Yeah.
And there is like a line where it's like, okay, it looks like it's like, okay, you got the younger Harriet, and like, okay, then you got her like where she's grown up and everything like that. And then there's just a hard cutoff where you're like, oh, like, is she okay?
Something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, something happened around that this time.
Or like, and I fucking hate that I'm on that side of like something happened, because I'm all for like the support of like women don't need makeup to be pretty, because like society really does push that thing. Like when women don't wear makeup, they look sickly.
But you can tell, like sometimes it's like, yeah, sometimes people just get ugly as they age. And sometimes you can tell when it's like they're sick. The problem that I find hard is she might be like, yeah, I know, I'm dealing with it, but not wanting to say that. And then you have the people being like, I'm just letting you know
that you're dying.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't want everybody to talk about this. And you're like, but and then here we are.
It's kind of, I know, like we're all kind of dealing with that with Ariana Grande, where of course she's saying things like, I want people to stop commenting on me. And I'm kind of looking at like, okay, she knows people said something. So if they're like, yo, is everything okay? And she's like,
chill the
fuck out. That point, what more can you do? But just until that point, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
But also if you're like,
it sucks. Being a celebrity has got to be the fucking worst thing.
It's got to be awful.
Blake Lively.
Yeah, she said something.
Posted something, yeah.
They're all doing it on Instagram.
And here we are. Like, I don't even follow her. And I'm like, I want to know what everybody's saying.
Yeah.
Like, even strangers, like, I've been clicking on posts just to be like,
I think you don't want to feel alone.
Yeah, I don't. And
right.
It's like, because I feel so fucking weird how attached I am to a person that I've never met, never seen, never been in the same room, like, never said a word, never had any sort of exchange. I just watched them from afar.
Yeah, but they impacted you. They shaped you. Like,
I don't know. I'm sad at the thought that she'll never be able to play Grand Theft Auto 6 now.
Damn. I mean,
it's like
she'll never get the Game of Thrones ending or whatever.
Yeah, the Winds of Winter.
I don't know. Maybe they have it in the other world.
Speaking of which, like, I just want to live long enough to read Mark Hoppus' memoir because I want to know like the stuff.
Oh yeah, that's coming out. That's coming out soon. Yeah,
like in April or something.
I'm most invested in the initial Blink-182 breakup in 2005. I hope he goes into some
talk about.
I hope he goes into more detail about that beyond what's already been like spoken over the years. But then, just more, I guess, like inside detail about Plus 44, that whole era.
Yeah.
It's like as much as like we know about it, we still don't know a lot about it, and it's just such a fascinating time in alternative like pop punk music.
That's how I know I'm old, because like I don't look forward to like the new sci-fi adventure or like the new like fantasy novel or whatever you want to like, you know, Game of Thrones. It's like, no, I want like the people that I have grown up with to put out like their life adventure.
Yeah, you need the memoir.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I read comedy drama Bob Odenkirk's memoir. It was fantastic.
When did he put that out?
Sometime.
Okay,
I mean,
very
it's been a while.
Okay,
like it's not new, but like I've been wanting to get it for a while, and then I finally got it and I read it, and it was great.
I wasn't sure if that was like post Better Call Saul, because then I'm sure you'd be going into detail about the heart attack that nearly killed him on set.
Yeah, he does talk about that. I mean, so it was at least after the heart attack.
Did you know that, Becky?
I don't even know who we're talking about.
Saul Goodman.
Better Call Saul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had a near fatal heart attack.
He talks about like Mr. Show, like, and everything built going up to that.
He's the SNL.
Yeah, he was on SNL.
I just learned, I was like,
SNL.
oh, yeah. I just had this.
Is his brother like a Simpsons writer? Is that a different, just a coincidence that they have the same name?
No, I think his brother is a writer.
Whoa.
Like I see Odenkirk all the time on like Futurama and
Bill Odenkirk.
Yeah,
that's his younger brother.
Yeah. So, but it's weird for me because like he came from like comedy.
I just learned that.
And like he was just like a funny guy, but like he usually played like the straight man, but then he gets cast as Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad. And
it's funny you're saying, because I just had like when
serious.
I just learned this, I couldn't, but I was like, wait, whoa. I was like, the guy from Breaking Bad is, and Chuck's like, yeah, he's been a long time writer on the show. I was like, holy shit. Cause we watched the SNL documentary and I was like, I would have never guessed that was his background.
It's fucking trippy. That whole show was crazy because before that show, Bryan Cranston was Malcolm in the Middle dad.
Yeah.
It's just like,
you're right.
You're like, oh, he's the funny, loving weirdo guy. And then you're like, I don't believe he could be a drug lord or whatever. You know, like,
or you just
killer.
like a serious role.
And you're like, you know, when Robin Williams played like in 1 Hour Photo, you're like, huh.
Yeah.
Because you see him like he's the genie, like he's this goofy guy, and all of a sudden he's like very scary. Very, very, very scary.
That's like John Lithgow. That dude can.
Oh yeah.
He can do comedy perfectly,
like
and he can do
Dexter.
villain perfectly.
He was, yeah.
Well, Saul Goodman was supposed to just be like a one-off character, one episode. And something happened where they ended up like, I don't know if he just like tested well or if the writers enjoyed working with him, but he ended up like getting a gradually bigger role on the show. Dude ends up like starring in his own spinoff.
Yeah.
And it was near perfect.
Yeah. I feel like maybe the book talks about that a little bit, but I mean, this is what's beautiful about my brain. I forget things so I can relive things again for the first time.
Groundhog Day over.
Hell yeah.
All right. We can wrap with that. Nate, thanks for being in the studio for this one.
Yeah, it's cool. It was.
I'm glad you got to meet Becky in person.
Yeah, we got to meet in person.
I was psyched. I'm like, Jack, you get to show your couch. I'm like, let me just clean up here. But I get to see he's real. Why do you feel bad?
No, because I was like, hey, you think maybe we could do this like in person? And you're like, I have to change my entire house. So I was like, you don't. You're like, no, but I do. And I'm like, you don't. It's like,
Nate, you don't understand. A woman lives here now.
Yeah, no, this is just.
No, it's okay. But at the same time, like, sorry.
No,
I jumped.
This was where I'm like, you know what, Becky?
I was like, I want to be around people right now.
Well, I'm glad you I think that's great that you were just like, I'm sad. I need to come do this in person. And you should do that more often. I'm sure there'll be a lot to be sad about.
And I jumped.
I'll come back more.
It is 2025. Yeah. I mean, man, you live in the city. Like, I know you're on the opposite side of it, but like we are within proximity. Like and I will never say no to having people in the studio doing this podcast.
I'm excited for you, babe.
It's 2025. I'm mandating a return to studio for this podcast.
Hell yeah.
I maybe I'll ask her off air, but I'm like, how are your in-laws doing? I'm shook by this. So
they're doing okay, thanks. Lot of community support. I mean, I'm not a huge like fan of religion, but the one thing I will say that's good about religion is they come together.
Yeah.
So it's like,
if it comforts someone, hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the community is like donated clothes, items. They have food, like they have more food than I will ever have. Like
that's great.
They're just like stocked up on everything. I mean, of course, they lost everything.
Were they home?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Becky's been a little bit on edge about things in the house exploding.
Yeah, well, you can imagine Lexi being very careful about everything. Like whenever something in our oven is burning, like, because it's not clean, like, like the extra crumblies that get some extra time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Do they know what caused it?
It was an electrical thing. It was like faulty wiring.
I would have no idea if I have a faulty wire. Yep.
It was in a room that they never used. Like it was the upstairs bathroom that was used for like storage, which was closed. And then her brother noticed smoke coming from under the door. And of course, like as soon as he opened the door, it just completely, and he had time to get the dog.
Oh my God.
So did
they have working detectors in the house?
Yeah, I believe so.
God, I hate hearing.
It's just one of those things.
Oh, this is horrific. I'm so sorry.
It's, but I mean, it's one of those things where you play it. This is the craziest part. Well, not the craziest part, but my wife was visiting them when this happened. So
she was there?
She was in town. She wasn't in the building, but like she booked a hotel. And it's one of those things where you just keep on playing it over and over in your head. Like the smallest little thing could have completely changed the outcome. Like she's like, if I decided to go shopping with my dad that day, we would have been out and no one would have gotten Ranger, the dog.
Yeah.
So it's just like one of those things where you're like, fucking.
You're grateful for what?
Trips with your brain of like, what could have happened.
Yeah.
And it's
or if you didn't open the one door, would it have?
Yeah. If I didn't look up Michelle Trachtenberg last night,
you wouldn't have killed her.
Yeah.
All right. Becky, Becky, thank you for being here. Thank you for living here.
I'm upset, but you're welcome.
You're welcome.
I'm going to think about them now.
Yeah. Well, it's fine.
Okay.
The show ends now, but our friendship continues after.
Okay.
If you need a palate cleanser, here's a good drop of Molly I found from last week's Trend Lightly.
I think there's a lot of money in smut.
She's not wrong.
Yeah.
All right.
Something
so
there.
that can be how you raise money.
Thank you for listening. We'll talk at you next time. Peace to Michelle Trachtenberg.
Rest in peace.
I can't do this.
All right. I'll do it. See ya. Bye.
Goodbye.
Dramatization may not have happened.
This has been a presentation of the Solid Listen Podcast Network.